WNST, Towser. No Steve Bisciotti press conference on the Ravens side, and quiet for the Ravens, and there's noise in other places, including in Pittsburgh, where some of the owners want to fire Mike Tomlin after a horrific ending for them. This guy has been my friend for going on a couple of decades now. He's been an on-again, off-again sponsor, friend. He's been on our bus trips. He might even be on our Ray Lewis Hall of Fame trip coming up this summer, as we're putting that on sale here this week, and you can go to WNST.net. He owns Cole Roofing along with his family, and much like my company being a local company, Bill Cole has a local company that's had a little offshoot. I had the offshoot of the internet in WNST.net. His offshoot is Fister Energy, where he puts solar panels on roofs as well as green spaces on the top. And I know you've been a caller around here over the course of time, but not a slotted guest. Bill Cole, my friend, good to have you back on, and good that we're talking publicly instead of over coffee at 7 in the morning at some accelerant event, right?
I appreciate it, Ness. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, no one watches more football than you, and we're talking about the Ray Lewis bus trip. First off, on Ray Lewis, the legend of Ray, the knee and the empty seats and all of that, and when I think about anything good that's ever happened to our franchise, really comes back to Ray Lewis. I mean, all those bus trips, all those championships, and let's look at life after Ray Lewis. We all looked at it and said it was going to be tough. Well, they've missed the playoffs 4 out of 5 years now, including 3 in a row without Ray Lewis, right? So his impact will forever be felt.
I don't think we fully understood. You get the play on the field concept, but just the experience at the stadium and the lack of personality, I don't think we realized quite the effect that would have, and I think we're feeling that now.
Yeah, nobody's coming out to dance anymore, and Suggs can do his little mask and the fire breathing and kiss Gene Simmons, whatever he wants to do. That's a Matrix thing, though, right? Or I don't even know. I mean, I see the movies in Suggs' locker, and I don't have enough time in my day to be sitting around watching all that. But I would agree, and look, you own a business, I own a business. It is our life's work. It's what gets you out of bed every morning. It's much like me. It's the first thing I think about in the morning. It's the last thing I think about before I go to bed every night. My radio station, my website, my sponsors, all of that stuff. I don't know, and look, Bisciotti's got all the money. It's not affecting whether he's eating filet mignon tonight or, the size of his yacht in Florida or any of that stuff. But I think that knowing him the way I do and knowing business owners in general, this is a really rough period to be the owner of the Baltimore Ravens, and I think if you and I took the team over right now, we'd have big thoughts and big designs, and we would do this and change that and go. I don't know how they're going to sell tickets here this offseason. I mean, I get out, you mingle with people that are PSL owners. Your father's been a PSL owner that's now been held down to you, and we've seen the empty seats there. The Ravens have a business problem right now, and that goes beyond John Harbaugh or Ray Lewis or the color purple or the league or any of that stuff. They're going to be sending out these season books to you, me. How much are your season ticket renewals? Mine is $1,700. I mean, mine's meager, but it's $1,700. That's a nice week in Ocean City for a lot of people.
Well, and part of my problem is along the pathway, the guy in front of me wanted to sell, so he calls me, so I pick up a couple more tickets there, and then it's okay. Who wants to go to the game every week? And growing up, that was never a problem. I mean, I probably didn't skip a game from '96 till 05 or maybe even 2010, who knows? And now it's a challenge to use the tickets.
Sounds like an old Oriole problem. Remember that problem 15 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, look, the couch is more comfortable every weekend. You can't beat the experiencing the game on television. And I was never big on all the ancillary stuff that goes on. Like, I enjoy football for the sake of football, but some percentage of the people coming to the games, it isn't just about the football. And I think the Ravens for a long time did really well with that. And
that was a big part of it. The pink Todd Heap jersey was part of it. The tailgate, your family, the drinking, the parking lot, the Ray Lewis day. I mean, plus the winning. Winning was the thing we took for granted around here. That's the thing they never had in Jacksonville, right? That's the thing that they never had in a lot of places around here, winning. I mean, the Eagles are hosting a championship game this weekend. We've never had that here, but we've always had more spirit than they've had about the football team because we've always had a better chance to win the last 20 years.
Well, and whose jersey are they selling right now? right?
Yeah, they don't have a statue in front of their jersey since 1996, do they? Maybe McNabb, but I mean, even the great teams that Andy Reid had there, they never had an Ed Reed. They never had a Ray Lewis. I don't even know that they had a Haloti Ngata or a Terrell Suggs, quite frankly. Who's their best player the last 20 years, if not McNabb, who they vilified anyway, right?
McNabb, that's a funny one. Like, I want to do a Where Are They Now on Donovan McNabb. Like, where is he?
Well, at least he's not where Dave Meggett showed up on my timeline the other day. So, you know.
Why isn't he doing the pregame broadcasts? I mean, there's a lot of lack of talent on those shows now. So isn't he qualified?
I think he had a little off-the-field issue if you go Google him at the NFL Network. Bill Cole is our guest. He owns Cole Roofing as well as Pfister Energy, one of our great sponsors here in 2018. But also, your sponsorship came to me very naturally. You're a local guy. You're a Baltimore guy. Your family's been in business doing the same thing for 100 years this year. But, you know, for me with sports and where we are moving forward, I am a little concerned about this Raven thing, and certainly from an Oriole perspective. And look, you and I are almost the same age. We grew up in the same environment when there was no football here. I mean, if the Ravens, if you're unhappy with the Ravens right now, letting a 4th and 12 go over their head, not making the playoffs, I don't know where we are with the Orioles. I mean, we're going into that long season, and you talk about giving away a ticket on a Sunday that used to have more of a premium value and more of an experience and more of a destination. Boy, the Orioles play too many games on too many nights. People don't want to come downtown, and I know you traverse the area and know the crime situation. But we don't talk about the plight of the Orioles. We always talk about the plight of the Ravens. The Orioles are going to have their own plight in about 6 weeks when they show up and nobody's going to the games, right?
Yeah, I think sitting at lunch yesterday, I asked somebody, how long before pitchers and catchers report, because they still get the benefit of the lull, right, until you get ramped up on college basketball and you can kind of bridge that gap. And so there's still a little bit of that, but yeah, the money in baseball is so much crazier, and we all spend time learning about the salary cap and understanding bonuses, and I feel like we spend a lot more time as fans understanding the math and the salaries in football. But in baseball, we just see silly numbers, and every headline is one. You got to help me remember, but the one guy just got a 1-year deal for $23 million, like. And we're talking about baseball, and I'm trying to figure out how I can get my kids there on like a evening in April. It just doesn't.
Well, they're playing in March this year. Opening day is on a Thursday in March. I mean, who gets together in a room and thinks this through and says, "Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's go sell that." I mean, and for the Orioles' perspective, there hasn't been a peep in weeks and weeks and weeks about anything, about any pitcher, right, about any hitter, other than fighting with Machado and arbitration and, Britton, blowing his leg out a couple of weeks ago and getting nothing in return. I don't have anything to sit here and pin hope on to the Orioles that isn't a lie to my audience at this point, because none of the guests are going to pin any hope to the Orioles. I think this is the first year in a long time, because they've built this thing back up with Jones and with Machado and with Scope and even with Wieters and Markakis and Roberts and all that stuff, and Buck, where they could put a tarp on the outside of the warehouse the week before opening day with someone's picture on it and say, we might win 90 games this year. We got a couple of young pitchers. We got legitimate players. I don't think anybody's looking at Chris Davis and saying, well, this is going to be the bounce-back year where he hits 272 and hits 48 bombs. I don't think anybody really believes that around here.
Yeah, I think that opening day is a tradition, and then from there it's blind faith. You pay attention a little bit, and as long as they're around in July, maybe you're talking about going to a game in August or September, but if they're not, then there's absolutely no paying attention, because football is coming into swing and we're transitioning to that.
Well, the relevance of them, right? Like, what day of the year are they relevant? They're having their winter carnival coming up soon, and I don't even know when it is. I mean, literally, it hasn't shown. I saw that they're doing autograph tickets. They put those on sale the other day. I saw on my Twitter, and I'm thinking, like, what's the destination after opening day in a year where everyone in the world's going to pick you to win 75 games? Because that's what you did last year. And, oh, by the way, you're worse. You don't have any pitching right now. So, and more than that, there's an anarchy part of this thing this year with Duquette, with Showalter, with Adam Jones, who, by the way, is mouthy, right? Like, we all know that about Adam Jones, right? Like, how mouthy is he going to get if they're 15 games under 500 on his walk year? They will be dealing him on July 31st. So, Machado, who knows what's going to happen there, but I know they're not going to give him $300 million. And the Scope story really is the biggest story of the offseason is, are you going to keep the next star now? Are you going to screw this up? And all I hear are crickets. It's been 3.5 months of crickets for the Baltimore Orioles, which is not a good way for them to sell tickets or enthusiasm either.
The connection point for me is, and everybody can relate to this, like everybody has that one buddy who is just a diehard, and he's the motivator to get me to a game or make me, when I see him, I got to be able to talk about something with the Orioles, so I'll check the paper or the websites or whatever. But where you got to get worried is when that guy becomes disinterested, that's when it's really in trouble, right? So there's still a number of those people in town who are just diehards, and I don't know. The rest.
You mean the guy that buys the sports radio station stops going to the games and support it? That sort of thing, right?
That's a warning sign. That's definitely a warning sign.
It tells everybody for a quarter of a century how bad it is, and and people sort of know it's bad, but they go anyway, right? I mean, and I get that on a summer night, or bobblehead night, or when the weather's good, or when they're giving a T-shirt away, or you want to take your kid to a Sunday afternoon game and just want to go do something, or the Yankees are in town, or whatever that is. But the night to night, giving them 30 hours a week of your life, beginning in April every night, beginning at 6:30 when, somber Rick Dempsey and Mike Bordick show up on your television and Jimmy Hunter and Tom Davis are lamenting another 10-6 loss on a Wednesday night in Ohio or something. I think this year specifically could be really, really bad for them. As the old man gets older, as Showalter's at the end, as Duquette's at the end, this could be a year where there could be some pie throwing of real sorts, where Adam Jones tells a story about how the team didn't want him to throw the pies because Dangerously Delicious wouldn't give them $1.50 at the end of the games anymore. This is when the laundry will come out, the dirty laundry will come out, because it really feels like the band's about to break up. This sort of feels like the Guns N' Roses tour when everybody was drugged up at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, again, it's a civic pride thing, so we'll always have the civic pride. I think there are some guys over there that in the corporate level who are out attempting to build relationships and spin things in a way like, hey, we do have this stadium down here and we do play games all the time, and if you're gonna host customers or bring, employees.
And maybe your customers like the Yankees or the Red Sox, which is used to be the thing, right?
I mean, there's just some smart business people that are over there who are trying. They have no say or influence over the product on the field, which can at times undermine their ability to, attract people to come spend their money there. You're never going to change the too many nights, too many games, They fall victim to crime in the city just like anything else, any other business that's in the city. So if we're not working on all of those good things, then that's all going to negatively affect it. And then you throw a bad team on top of it, and I think you're going to hear people start to say things that maybe otherwise had kept quiet for years.
He is Bill Cole. He is Cole Roofing, as well as Pfister Energy, one of our great sponsors, one of my dear friends and a huge sports fan. He will be visiting with us, not just to talk some sports here locally, but also to promote your business, which, of course, many, many years you've been doing this, and I've known you forever. And you do commercial roofing, but more than that, the solar panels and the energy part of this is something I think that began our friendship 10 years ago when I was moving my little AM radio station into the larger web, which I think I've done pretty successfully with mobile and video and all the things that we're doing here. But, when you think of roofs, there's nothing sexy about a corporate roof or a roof on a church or a roof on a mall or a roof on a big strip place. But I think over the last 20 years, we've started to rethink that a little bit about what that space represents. I know I live on top of up high in the city, and I look out and I see a lot of the buildings that you and others do where there are gardens on the roof, so there are tennis courts on the roof, or there's a pool on the roof, or there's a deck on the roof, but certainly the solar panel thing is a whole different thing that takes me back to James Bond and the man with the golden gun back in '73.
Look, we're definitely committed and trying to help educate people on the idea that that space is there to be used. So what else could we use it for? And I think people are continuing to learn and develop more things. And along the way, hey, lo and behold, maybe we put a power plant up on top of the roof. That's an interesting concept. I think one of the things that our conversations or the ability to have conversations with you or talk to the people that are listening to us is that, commercial roofing, as you said, isn't all that sexy. But I think working for great companies can be a difference for people in their lives. So part of the message from me through you is that, we hire all kinds of really good people, and we train and teach, and, we're not building rockets, we're putting down roofs, and it gets more complicated every day. But at the same time, if people aren't happy with the type of work they're doing, we really do appreciate guys who, want to go out in the cold and want to use their hands and want to build things, and, getting that message out that here's a, 99-year-old company that is committed to taking care of their people and want other tradespeople, other people working in dissatisfied places to say, I don't know anything about that, but let me at least go find out and see what they're doing over there, because we're not just the hot tar that you can all imagine, which could potentially be relatively miserable on a hot summer day, although that's part of our work. We are doing some other interesting stuff, and I think there's a lot of room to grow and all that.
I had never been to your website before I brought you on today, literally, because, why would I go to a roofing website unless I needed to buy a roof, right? But I'm at coleroofing.com. You have this amazing picture, and I can see that it's taken somewhere near the football stadium, east of the stadium with a church, and I see Harbor View, and there's these beautiful blue solar panels. For a company that has a roof of a legitimate size to put these, it looks like glass. I don't know what it is. You tell me it's some sort of poly or whatever it is that creates this. It feels very Willy Wonka to me, but I also spend enough time in Europe and spend enough time in Asia and get out to places, and I've flown across the middle of our country as well as Europe, where I see the windmills, out in the fields doing the energy thing. For a roof like this in Baltimore, I don't even know where this is. You can brag on it all you want because I see the picture here. But what does that mean to a local company in Baltimore to say we're going to put a power plant on the roof?
Well, I liken it to imagine the conversations that people had when they started putting air conditioners into their buildings, right? Whoa, what is that? What are we doing? How does that make sense? Yeah, sure, it's more comfortable. So if you can generate your own power and reduce how much you're paying to BGE or Pepco or whoever it is, and then stabilize that number for a period of time, along the way, we're getting some tax credits, and there's a state program that gets some money to us. It can make economical sense. Most of the time, we're competing with other capital projects. Does the business want to buy another truck, put another machine, build an addition? I mean, that's
advertise on radio.
Yeah. Well, no, we would never want to cut that, right? We got to keep the advertising going to keep our finding more customers, but this is more of a cost reduction play to see if we can get more of our revenue to flow through to profitability.
I just think it's something most people have never thought about, right, in their lifetime, right? Literally, if I put a power plant on my roof, it just, until the roof comes, and then they call you and say, hey, Bill, you're a roofing guy, put a roof on, and you go up there and dump tar down, and they never hear about it again. And for some people, that works, right? But the notion of opening the mind to say, well, I'm going to own this company for the next 10, 20, 30 years, maybe there is a cost benefit to this, and maybe it's something most people you've talked to have never considered it, right? I mean, 10 years ago, no one had ever heard of such a thing around here. Now that it's a product you sell, you're always out in front of it, but most people are probably look at you befuddled when you tell them this, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, we started that business in Baltimore in 2009, so we've been on the educational cycle for quite a long time.
But Terrell Suggs Joe Flacco's been on the team longer than you've been doing this, right? Literally.
Yeah, I guess so.
Right, so it's new.
Most people say to me, "Wow, that makes a lot of sense. You're doing commercial roofs. Why wouldn't you do that?" And I mean, that's obviously why I did it. I guess the thought process is someday we're going to get to a place where we're going to give people both prices, right? Like here's a regular roof and here's a solar roof. Not everybody's going to be right for the solar roof, but you're going to at least want to know what it costs, and you're going to want to know what the consequences, to the bottom line look like. Maybe it's an investment you make, maybe it's not. Today, the price has fallen. I mean, in that time period, almost 10 years, I've seen the price of solar come down, get cut in half 3 times.
Wow.
So it
kind of like big screen TVs.
Yeah, a lot of that. Yeah, a lot of that. We're not necessarily improving how much power we make. Like most of the investments in solar have gone into how can they manufacture and produce solar panels cheaper. So we've gotten improved efficiencies there. So that's how we can install them for less. We're seeing them a lot more on designs for new construction buildings, and sometimes they make it through the budget, sometimes they get cut. But we're active in those conversations.
He is Bill Cole. He has been my lifer friend and Baltimorean and Oriole and Raven and Terp guy. He owns Cole Roofing as well as Pfister Energy. You're going to be hearing more about them as well as Bill's visits here because he's one of my beer-swilling, coffee-morning, sports fan, going, tailgating, traveling. You going to the Ray Lewis thing? You're going to go out there? I think I began the conversation with saying I have been shocked by how interested people are. I thought there might have been a larger backlash on Ray or a lack of appreciation for Ray, or he took the knee, or he says crazy stuff on television, which he does all the time. I have found him to be an incredibly inconsistent human being as a guy who's known him from the beginning. So I'm not his biggest fan, but I do understand what he represents for me, for the team, for the city, for the community, in a lot of ways. And I've always hoped that he would become that better guy off the field. Off the field, that he would be here and doing things. For that, the track record speaks for itself, but he also deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He played through it. I'm talking to all these Hall of Fame people, but I am wondering whether it's going to be this purple pilgrimage west, given the temperature for the football team the last 3 months around here. But that being said, been huge interest. People want to go out. I want to take them out. We're doing the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We're doing an Indians game, Pirates game, a big night out at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So it's going to be a big weekend in August, I think, for Baltimore people.
I think that, again, we're getting challenged to mix our entertainment with our political opinions, our religious beliefs, whatever. Right?
Our morality to some degree, right?
Sure. Right. We want to mix all this stuff into one, and that makes that type of decision difficult, right? Like, can't we just go celebrate a guy for his actions on the field, or by
he did give us a lot of fun. I'll tell you that. No one has brought me more joy over the last 20 years than Ray Lewis. Like literally, right? Like if I didn't know him, if I didn't have disagreements with him, if I didn't have to deal with him, quite frankly, at various points over the last 20 years, just going and showing up at the football stadium and paying for my ticket and wanting great football. I mean, if he's not the greatest football player, he's certainly the greatest football player in Baltimore sports history, and you could put that next to Unitas or anybody else. There's a reason there's a statue there.
Being able to root for a team where you have confidence that you've got the best player on the field every single game, that is a lot of fun. And I don't know that we realize that up until the point where you don't have it anymore. And now that just innate confidence that you at least knew this guy was going to show up and he was going to make the defense hold the other team in check. Like, that's a fun way to go root for your team, let me tell you. When they won the Super Bowl and beat the Giants, we knew that whole year that if we put 7 on the board, the game was over. So that's just a difference that we don't have with the team now, or that maybe you'll ever have, right? Because those are so rare, and for that, the guy needs to be celebrated.
Well, we got the 16th pick. I mean, all Ozzie and Eric have to do is just go find another one, right?
Amen to that.
Bill Cole is here. He's at Cole Roofing and at Fister Energy. You can find him out there. He also tweets. He's on Facebook. And if you know him and see him, tell him we said hi. And we'll see you maybe next week, maybe the week after. We're headed off to the Super Bowl. I'm re-releasing Purple Rain 2. It's crazy. It's been 5 years, though, right? 5 years this week, right?
I can't believe that.
Yeah, well...
it was like yesterday. I can remember marching. I can remember being at the game. I can remember the lights going. I can remember all that stuff.
And we were just going to go every year, right? I mean, every year we were going to go to the Super Bowl,
right?
No
problem.
Yeah,
no problem.
Just like they're doing in Pittsburgh right now or even in New England this weekend. Don't choke on the football games this week. We'll check in with you again next week, Billy.
All right, I enjoyed it, man. Thanks a lot.
You got it, Bill Cole, my dear friend from Cole Roofing and Fister Energy, one of our sponsors here, talking a little sensibilities as well as little sports and having some fun around here. You can find me out on the Buy a Toyota.com audio vaults 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn radio app. We do come in crystal clear from wherever you happen to be. Our morning newspaper with Purple Rain 2 daily shipping to you courtesy of Planet Fitness at planetfitness.com, where it's still $10 a month. Never any commitment. And they're always judgment-free at planetfitness.com, so go check them out. 2018, get yourself in shape while it's cold out. It's always warm inside Planet Fitness. Last but never least, any breaking news happens first on the WNST Tech Service. That's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. And, of course, Dennis Kolatzis will be here on Thursday, driving you home 3 until 5. It is the SSV on WNST, and I will be participating as well. Luke Jones and I will be participating in Super Bowl 52. We're off to Minnesota in a week and a half. We're putting the Ray Lewis trip on sale this week. You can email me, nasty@WNST.net, and you can also find all that information, as well as Purple Rain 2 and all my thoughts on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live right here on our Facebook Live, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.